Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Sassy Debate Competition, and I'm proud to say it is the finals. Running under the theme Nurturing Ideas for Healthier Society Through Debate, it is all systems go. Many thanks to our supporting partner, the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe, and this show, it is proudly brought to you by SAYWHAT. So, a great welcome to our adjudicators that are going to be responsible for the toughest decision in naming the winner, the second place, the third place. Thank you so much to our adjudicators and also to our sign language professional who's making sure that when it comes to sign language, we are indeed covered. In case you're wondering, the institutions that have made it to the finals, you're wondering, which institute is that? Well, the institute that I have with me right here, to my far right, we've got Women's University in Africa. We have got Midlands State University, Gweru Polytechnic, and Africa University. So, what's gonna happen is that let me just say about the prizes that these guys are going to win. Maybe we can just a little bit motivate them so that they know that they're actually going to, the biggest prize is actually quite a lot. So the first prize, they're going to win the trophy that you can see right now, the beautiful trophy. They're going to have 2 laptops for the students and also 3 gold medals. For the first runner-up, going to receive 2 tablets and 3 silver medals. The second medals, it is 2 mobile phones and 3 bronze medals. And for all the participants that were part of the Sassy Debate Competition will all receive their certificates, and also all the colleges will also receive their certificates. Without wasting any time, it is the final debate challenge competition. So we'll get straight into it. With the motion. Well, first of all, let me just give you a little bit of info before we get into the motion. A sham marriage, also known as a shingan or cooperative marriage, is a marriage between a gay man and a lesbian woman for the purposes of creating the appearance of being straight and evading the social stigmas of being gay or being left on the shelf. They are particularly common in China. Now, the motion reads, with the motion, this house supports sham marriages in conservative countries. I'll repeat, with the motion, this house supports sham marriages in conservative countries. Please do make sure that you engage with us and tell us which institute do you think is going to make it as the winner for this championship. It's hashtag Salsa Debate, hashtag Debate for Health. Without wasting any time, we'll start with the Prime Minister. You can come forward.
As the info slide has already defined for us exactly what a sham marriage is, I am going to go right ahead and start to tell you exactly why the sham marriages became a thing in China and in other conservative nations. What most people of the LGBTQ plus community have realized in these conservative nations is that they have failed to convince these conservative nations to accept their norms, to accept them as people, and since they have failed to convince them, they have come up with a way for them to survive and stay safely in these societies, whilst at the same time not violating themselves by finding themselves in situations that don't conform with who they are. So this has been a method to keep themselves safe. The status quo is that most of these same marriages exist already in most of the in most conservative nations. Now, why are we supporting as a delegation? Why do we support these same marriages? We believe that it is some sort of balance that has been brought about within societies between the LGBTQ and the conservatives. They have found out that it is better for them to preserve their safety, their mental health, and preserve themselves as people, while also safely expressing themselves and their identity without having to face the stigma and the dangers of being harassed for being themselves or being gay or lesbian. What this brings about is that it ensures that they are accepted into society, which is very unlikely if they come out as they are as the LGBTQ community. So they have better opportunities and better living standards. We also see another factor where we look at the issue of equal opportunities, and they also prevent themselves from alienation. What do we mean by alienation? In conservative nations, they believe that the LGBTQ community are an abomination and should not be recognized as people. So if you come out as LGBTQ, they're obviously going to alienate you, which is going to cause severe mental health issues, ladies and gentlemen. And in order for them to protect themselves, they came up with these sham marriages. So, yes, taken.
Would you personally want to live your life pretending to be someone else?
Ladies and gentlemen, as I have said, we have seen that it is better. There's sometimes when you have to accept as a person that safety is better than sacrifice. What good is expressing yourself and then ending up in jail or dead? What good then does it do? What help is it helpful? Why not express yourself in secret and still be able to live a normal life? What we are doing with sham marriages, we feel sham marriages are better because they ensure that these people are facing exact same situations. They're in the same situation and they're facing the same problems. So they are better they better understand each other and they better support each other instead of being stuck in societies where they are forced to marry straight people and can't express themselves and are forced to hide. I feel like it is better for them to be able to express themselves in secret than for them to hide their identity, than for them to put themselves in danger, put themselves in the danger of alienation, of death, of imprisonment. So I feel like it is better for them to hide their identity just until they are able to finally convince the conservative nations to accept them. But as long as that is not the case, it is always going to be a safer option for them to keep themselves hidden but safe and happy. With this, ladies and gentlemen, we beg to propose.
Now we will have to listen to the leader of opposition. You can come forward.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All protocol observed. This house believes in 1, acceptancy, 2, non-judgmental attitude, and 3, individualism. So what we are talking about here is the issue of tolerance. In this house, as of the case of the rest of the world, everyone is different. Why do we sometimes reject them or even make fun of them? Perhaps we are scared of them, or do we not want to share, or we are not even sure of ourselves. We are not even sure of who we are or what we would want to be. Of course, we don't have to love everyone, but everyone has the right to live in dignity without any fear or any reservation. That was the first point, ladies and gentlemen. The second point is that there are so many social ills that are happening in society for us to worry about. Rather to worry about individual sexuality. We can't even equate social ills such as murder, fraud, child sexual abuse, amongst many others. Denied. Again, it's amongst many others. Individual sexual preference it's something that happens behind closed door. Yes.
Would you rather risk a life just simply for acceptance?
How many straight people are doing worse things in society? How many gay people are contributing financially to the well-being of the society? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm running this motion using the BZEC 7 principles of social work. I think I have mentioned the carrot and the stick principle before. We need to give this LGBTQT community a carrot. We are all humans and we are all social beings. We want to feel love and we want to thrive on an environment which is nourishing, and the environment which is nourishing can only be... can only be achieved if we allow these people to move out of their cocoon. As the golden rule says, do unto others as you want them to do unto you. In this instance, we should move from just being sympathetic to being empathetic. We need to put ourselves in other people's shoes. It's difficult to
Clarity.
live where you are not accepted.
Are these individuals being free to identify themselves, or are they happy in your world?
Yeah, in this world, these individuals will be happy because we're saying they will be accepted and no one will judge them and they will do whatever they want. That is a right. And we wouldn't want to infringe on their right. I would equate that to as fraudulent misrepresentation. We should be able to accept diversity as much as we are a community. We are different in many ways. Some people are short, some are tall, some are open-minded, some are not open-minded. So I believe that we should be tolerant, and I believe that share marriage are actually a good thing. Yes?
Exactly how are you going to make the conservative governments accept these people?
There are 50+ methods or ways, there are various ways to make sure that the conservative accept this kind of arrangement. So, yeah, as I said earlier, perhaps we are scared of them, or we don't want to share, or we're not even sure of ourselves. Of course, we don't have to love everybody, but everyone has the right to live in dignity without any fear or any reservation. As I said earlier, there are so many social ills that are happening in society for us to worry about, and not just sexuality. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I rest my case.
Now it is time for the Deputy Prime Minister to come forward.
Panel, I would like to start by illustrating the nature of most conservative societies. These societies tend to be extremely homophobic, and people that are driven by fear and hate are capable of serious atrocious crimes. I know about delegation, think of the Holocaust. This is an example of what happens when people hate a certain group of people. So my noble delegation, how then would you then come up and suggest an idea of self-expression toward in a community whereby people will hate you for who you are? So my noble delegation, what we as a delegation are standing for is safety. We are saying, while indeed you feel like you need the urge to express yourself, these homosexual ladies and gentlemen can then express themselves while they are in shame marriages. These shame marriages can be like a shield that will protect them from the harsh realities that they will face when they are unaccepted by the society. Now, this is our case. We are saying that it is a safer choice for gay and lesbian people. How? Because they face a risk of job security, no segregation in society, and physical homophobic attacks. My noble delegation, in conservative societies, people will not allow people will not employ gay people in their organizations. And how then can someone get a job if they are shunned away from the society? They will not be taken.
Okay, so what if this is found out that this is a fake marriage? What are the consequences which will come if you are not going to advocate for their rights at the end of the day? It cannot be found out that it can be found out that it is a fake marriage simply because what happens between closed doors will be their business, my noble delegation. No one can speculate that one's marriage is fake and one is not fake. Hence, this system will be a safe space. It will be a safe way for them to be safe in a society, attend job opportunities, not to be segregated. Because imagine if people hate them, they will face a lot of discrimination. And if they face a lot of discrimination, if harm were to come and their neighbors, my noble delegation that hate them, they will not be informed by these neighbors because people wish harm upon them. And then moving on, we are also saying that declined. We are also saying that this can protect straight people themselves. How so? We then get to see that there are some heterosexual ladies and gentlemen that have been manipulated by gay people into loveless marriages, simply because these gay people want to put on a fake situation. However, if they then marry another homosexual individual and then they get into this agreement understanding what they have on the table, we then can protect the heterosexual population from manipulation and getting married into loveless relationships. We also are saying declined. We also are saying it can be a point of therapy. It can be a place of therapy for these lesbian and gay people. Why? Because of comradeship.
If then one gay man and one gay woman are living in the same household, and then they've agreed to stay together, and they understand and they understand their condition, they can have what we call peer therapy, whereby you have a friend who understands your situation, a friend who understands who you are, and then this friend is your companion, and you won't feel like you're going through life alone, rather than coming out to a society that will not accept them, a society that might kill them, a society that will deprive them of a lot of benefits, segregation, a lot of benefits, man, about delegation. So this is why we as a delegation deserve to win this debate, simply because we have come up with the benefits to the heterosexual community and to the LGBTI community. We have also brought out the safety aspect of this, which happens to be something that is very important, my panel. We are saying that if people are not safe, if people risk getting shot, if people risk getting attacked physically by no delegation, how then can these people truly be happy? It is better for them to pretend as though they are in marriages whilst their partner understanding their situation, than for them to live in a society where they have to fake who they are without.
Time's up. So now it is time for the deputy leader of the opposition.
A world in which society has a monopoly on who you love, you are denied the most basic, fundamental, and human expression, that is love. I'm going to do 3 things for you. 1, show you that homosexuality does not harm conservative societies. 2, show you how it's a human right, fundamentally speaking, and how we can integrate it into society. And 3, show you how sham marriages work against creating a more humane world. So let us begin. First of all, sexual identity is a personal choice, something that happens within your personal life. We believe everyone has the right to love and expression. But to rebut and deal with some of the ideas we get, if black people were too afraid of dying to fight against the oppressive regime that kept them enslaved, we would still be in chains. Sometimes you have to fight against oppressive regimes in order to initiate change. It doesn't happen overnight, but if you never start, it will never happen, and it will never end. Which is why Martin Luther King said, I have a dream, and even if we never accomplish it, we should fight towards it in order to create a better world. And that is what we are doing when we avoid sham marriages, because when you hide something, you create this assumption that it is evil, it is bad, therefore it should be hidden. So, to answer your other question, how then do we convince these societies to change? It takes steps. First of all, you take exposure. When people are more exposed to an idea or an identity, they become more tolerant the more they see it. The more they become tolerant of that idea, the more they begin to accept it through the principle of normalization and socialization, because it's now familiar. People fear what they don't understand. They can never understand something if they're never exposed. They will never be exposed if you're telling them to marry in private, which is why sham marriages are not only harmful to the people in them, but they allow social narratives that perpetuate oppression on sexual different groups from actually expressing themselves. Yes?
How do you propose to protect these people after exposing them?
We protect them through policies that encourage tolerance, which is something that is happening in many conservative societies, which criminalizes an act of violence against another individual, not necessarily because of your belief system, but because violence against someone in itself is a crime. Discrimination is a crime, which is why women are no longer being discriminated against, and you can be arrested for sexual harassment, abuse, or negative discrimination in the workplace. But it started with women saying, nope, we can no longer hide the oppression that we are facing, which is the fundamental point of this debate. Sham marriages hide an identity which is based on a fundamental human right, which is love, affection, the right to have a family. And the more you hide it, the less likely you are to have a society where families actually accept people for who they are and where people can love who they want to love. Now,
Clarity?
yes.
Do you think this debate is just about community acceptance or the legal process of being married?
This debate is an evaluative debate, but the social ideology is what influences laws and legal systems because they're based on cultural norms. So conservative societies are based on the culture of group over the individual identity in order to avoid social harm. But having sex with a man is not harming another individual directly, physically, or harming their property. Therefore, it should be in my legal right to love and have an affair or marriage with whom I love under the human rights laws, because that is my identity. You have the right to self-actualization so long as that doesn't infringe upon anyone else's rights. Homosexuals are not hurting people. They're not criminals. They're not thieves. They're not gangsters. Some of them are very good people doing very good things for society who cannot actualize, because living a false identity causes psychological harm to the point people commit suicide. And loving someone in private means you can't express that affection, and it becomes complicated because you have to pretend to love someone in front of your entire family, go through the wedding, live a life without actualizing or expressing who you are or loving who you want to love in public. So panel, what have I done for you today? I've shown you 3 things. One, that in principle, loving who you want to love is a human right that needs to be protected. I took it a step further and showed you how homosexuality hurts no one, but can be integrated into cultural systems. Because I can be a Ndebele gay man, I can be a Shona gay man, I can be a cultural, traditional gay man in a conservative society who's in love with who I want to be in love with. We hurt nobody. And in the end, I also showed you how sham marriages actually harm this principle, work against humanity. Thank you.
That was the deputy leader of the opposition. Many thanks to him. So it is the hashtag Sassy debate, and it is the final debate competition whereby we're going to see who is the winner out of these 4 institutions. So please do make sure that you engage with us on all social media platforms. Facebook, it is Say What. Instagram, it is Say What Zimbabwe, and on Twitter, it is Say What Org. So after the break, we're going to have the closing government and the closing opposition. So all you gotta do, stay tuned.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Thank you so much for joining us. And if you are not aware of the motion reads, with the motion, this house supports sham marriages in conservative countries. So please do make sure that you can also share what you think on all of our social media platforms with the hashtag Sassy Debate, hashtag Debate for Health. Many thanks to our main supporting partner, the Swedish Embassy in Zimbabwe. Without wasting any time, I would like to call upon the member of government to come forward.
Panel, let this debate not go without being mentioned that we are advocating for sham marriages, not necessarily as a government, but also as queer people, because we believe we deserve the liberty to self-determine and as well to prioritize the existence of alternatives. So straight into setting context. Panel, this debate should be consciously noted that whenever we start the conversation about rights or freedom, we should point to one most important factor, and that is context. And in this particular sense, context influences how movements begin, how struggles are protracted, and as well as how certain minority communities therefore survive repression, victimization, and as well as how they get to sustain and proceed. So 3 things that you fundamentally get from us is: 1, what is the material reality that surrounds the LGBTQ community in conservative areas? Then secondly, you are also ought to know the dangers that they face, and thirdly, the biggest threat that they face in that particular instance. And then in our extension, we're going to show you 4 things. 1, we're going to show you the importance of contextual analysis and how it affects the spaces in which the LGBTQI exist. Then secondly, we're going to tell you the importance of creating safe spaces in the person of sham marriages. Then thirdly, we're also going to show you the importance of alternatives. Then fourthly, we're going to show you the outcomes. And in here, the outcomes that we're going to measure as how then the LGBTQI get a chance to set their struggle forward. So getting into business, we should understand that in countries like China, where actually the sham marriage is being denoted from, they exist under a competitive authoritarian regime that uses hybrid mechanisms such as addressing the economic primary rights, but also denying people secondary rights. This also shows how much liberalism is not the only way that people can attain their rights, but also sometimes gradualism can also be a way that they can attain their rights. Because in this particular instance, the LGBTQI++ are criminalized, and they are also threatened by heavy punishments such as death or incarceration. So in that particular instance, what do they do to evade victimization, and what do they do in order to survive constant repression? Because you should also understand that they are a minority, and by being a minority, it means the social and political capital that they need to gain momentum to advance a radical struggle is what government proposes is here in existence. So in that particular end, they need to do what they need to indulge in sham marriages. But sham marriages create safe spaces, like we put in our first point, that the importance of creating safe spaces. So these safe spaces allow them to be who they are. They allow them to retreat away from victimization, but allow them to also continue sustaining their struggle until at a time that they gain momentum enough to protract it. We might not know when, but it is important that they keep on gaining their freedom and the ability to be who they are. Then secondly, the context itself, like I said, is important, because we have actually mentioned to you how the competitive authoritarian regimes use force, repression, and sometimes a threat to human life. So what is their greatest to lose under that context? That is life. So you might even lose your life and the chance to actually be gay or even in that share marriages. Then thirdly, we also told you the importance of having alternatives. It is important that these people have alternatives, because alternatives give them the chance to even buy in or buy out of a certain solution, especially at a time when you know a certain solution is not viable. For example, radical approaches. So therefore you need survivalism and the importance of surviving and sustaining. Therefore, on the outcomes, the outcome is the LGBTQI, even though in a space of retreat, they get to still exist, they get to still continue and be who they are and get the liberty to exist. I'll take one.
Interracial marriages were once banned. There is no change without risk and revolution.
Well, interracial marriages also came with heterosexuality. So at that point, that chat fails to meet this debate because there is a circumstantial difference where even interracial marriages amongst homosexualities are still banned. So with this, we're ever proud to oppose.
Thank you so much, Member of Government representing Midlands State University. Now it is time for the Member of Opposition to come forward.
Panel. So we have to understand that hiding will never change for the minority. This is what we as the opposition side is actually saying. So here's how we are going to run our case. We are going to start with the rebuttals, engagement with our fellow colleagues, our extension and our burden of proof. So they stated that they are failing to prove that they want to be in these marriages. Rather, they have to try. This is what we tell them, that they have to try. This is why in some countries people fought for their freedom. Rather, because you cannot say that you are failing when you're not even putting an effort or when you are even trying. They also say that it is safe, but rather we come and tell you that it is not safe, because at this very same time, this is where we find that in these child marriages, there are high cases of gender-based violence. Why? Because there is no love. Why? Because there is no emotions. So we find that they are at high risk of there are cases of high gender-based violence. They also stated that they are only talking about people who are only gay. I pose a question to this house. What about those whom are not gay? I wasn't to you, whom are not gay, but whom then we will discover that they are interested in having a marriage with the different sexuality. This is when they are going to get divorced in the future. And then in these same marriages, this is when then some of them are going to lose their wealth because of these child marriages, because the other partner rather would not have worked for this wealth, but then now they have to get divorced and they have to share their properties.
Point.
So now engaging with our opening government, we come in, they said that everyone has a right, meaning that they have a right to fight for their rights. Yes, this is when we are saying that rather than staying behind the closed doors, these people have to fight for their rights. At least they have to try so that there can be policies made for them to actually fight and to see what the government can actually do for these people, other than being the minority whom are actually staying and not coming clear into the light and saying what they want to be. Then coming with our extension, this is where we are going to tell you that how it miniaturizes the LGBTQ community when it is actually stating that these people are not exercising their rights, where it clearly states that everyone has got a right to choose what they want. So these people have to choose what they want. This is where we also get the penal code of section 377 of India, where it actually stated that once anyone has voluntary carnal intercourse against orders of the nature with any man or woman, command shall be punished with imprisonment for less than 10 years. But then historically, this changed and the whole world was shocked in 2018 when the judgment then was passed. When India actually passed this judgment saying that it is now decriminalizing this penal code, stating that it means that it is now being legalized, but there is no progress towards the rights of the LGBT community, which says that yes, these people were now allowed to engage in whatever it is that they were now engaging, but they were not being punished. We also get that it is causing racketeering, where people are now going to other countries, are seeking for immigration papers from the people from the same who have the citizenship of this country, some of them which are actually vulnerable for money, and these actually have got disadvantages, which will then disadvantage these people.
Now it is time for the last whipping of the debate challenge. So we'll start with the government whip. Can you come forward?
The four major clashes that we get from opposition start from the opening opposition. The opening opposition comes and reiterates the need for social justice. That is always premised on the assumption that the queer community is not approving of sham marriages. The problem with them talking about social justice is that they also don't take into cognizance that social justice just doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that Liam tried to clarify over and over. We show you the risks of head-on collisions because this is not America. This is China. Not only a functioning society, but a society that will not even heed a chance to kill you because you are expressing yourself. That is the problem with over-glorifying one solution. And Liam clearly tells you to say, even in a world where the queer community is trying to fight for alternatives, this alternative is also something that can work even in a direct, like, let's say, juxtaposition of the fights for the rights in and of itself. They're not mutually exclusive at the end of the day, and that was their responsibility to prove too. They also talk about this aspect of the psychological harm of them living in a private setup. Panel, we've seen heterosexual marriages that don't even have happiness and love. But above and beyond, sham marriages have people who are queer pretending to be straight, but they are still queer. It means these individuals are actually in a space where they accept themselves. On a psychological level, they know that the environment is not friendly, but these individuals can self-actualize and be themselves. They're doing it because they want to exist legally in a system. But above and beyond, we get CO's major case, which is on you can get a possible divorce. Panel, even in heterosexual marriages, people divorce on a daily basis. But above and beyond, that was their burden to prove why that thing is important. But even the idea that it minimizes efforts, their last clash. Panel, we need to understand in juxtaposition, you don't minimize efforts in a community when that is your effort that you've put to adapt in a very volatile society. What does this mean? When you exist in a society where your life is at threat, this alternative was put so that they can exist. The efforts themselves are big enough for us to even appreciate, because at the end of the day, this was a queer effort, and therefore we should celebrate it. When we support something, we are ultimately saying it should exist. And we think in the meantime, whilst we are fighting for liberties, we should allow this to exist. What does CG tell you, and why we then win this debate? CG tells you the importance of safe spaces. We think at the end of the day, if you don't have safe spaces, you're going to leave these individuals in a society where not only the law doesn't permit them, but their families don't permit them. Their cultures don't permit them. They have absolutely no way to exist. But first and foremost, Liam clearly told you guys, I'll take you, about context. It's always problematic when we always have the metric of America, no matter what. We should allow ourselves to understand that it is hard for us to always think that liberalism is the only model. Conservatism has people that are actually content, and the assumption that these queer people are not happy is something that they ought to have proved. But in most instances, we believe in their right senses, most of them could be happy. Quick, Dalito.
Sham marriages make other policies redundant, because what's the point if you're only going to hide?
You are supposed to show us how sham marriages and other efforts cannot coexist. But we think even in that context, you have already accepted that the queer exist in society. So it means whilst people are in sham marriages, they can still be fighting for efforts towards creating policy formulation. We don't think that these things are mutually exclusive. But above and beyond, we win on the metrics of not only showing you that we will have self-contentment, but we also create a world where they don't have alternatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was the government whip. Now it is time for the final whip, which is the opposition whip.
Panel, within this debate, I believe that it's better to be defeated on principle than to win on lies. There is an issue which they are not addressing within this debate, but just for the sake of engagement, I will make sure that I will engage from the opening side of this debate. So firstly, we have an opening government which believes that in conservative nations, there is alienation which is there and which cannot be dealt with. But we believe that we cannot deal with something which doesn't exist at the end of the day, because we cannot see the alienation if these people are already hiding. We need certain examples which are going to set a precedence of us trying to solve that problem at the end of the day. So I believe that system of saying that there is alienation falls flat. Secondly, they come and ask a question that how are you going to make them accepted? This is where Dalito makes sure he deals with the point. He tells you that we cannot actually solve a problem just by not risking, just by hiding. We cannot solve the problem. So at the end of the day, what we actually have to do is clearly engage with people who are very bold to come out and make sure that they are there. Their voices should be heard. We cannot solve problems which are not existential within a society. So moving on to the opening opposition. This is where you find that there's an issue of acceptance. But we cannot accept, as much as I've already alluded to you, we cannot accept something which we do not know as existential within this debate. I'll come back to you, Liam. Secondly, we tell you about individual. They told us about individualism. Thirdly, they told us that the homosexuality in itself is not even harmful to the society. This is where Dalito even mentions that if a man sleeps with another man, there is no violation of anyone's rights within that debate. So this is where we feel that it's a better stance which we have to engage with within this debate, and we regret these share marriages because we think it's a fraud, and it's so flawed for people to hide while they want their rights to be heard. For a minority group, we do not expect those minorities to be hiding. But we move on, and then we go to the closing government. So basically, they mention about China, saying that there is an oppressive regime, and then there's alienation, and there's this authoritarian regime which exists within China. But we believe that at the end of the day, only change comes by the people who take risks. Risk takers are money makers. This is what we know. So at the end of the day, they even ask a question that, okay, fine, these are people who are just getting into marriage just for the sake of them being happy. But are they happy? In a marriage where you do not even get the sexual gratification which you want, when you're a gay man and you're living with a lesbian woman, who are you engaging in sexual activities with? This is where I raise a POI and I ask, how are we going to say they are feeling safe? How are they happy within a marriage which is fake? This is something which we have to understand within this debate. But three points of extension raised by my member of opposition. I'll take you later. So there is an issue of racketeering which is involved within this state. So this is where we see that ladies are being forced to marry just for money, and at the end of the day they will divorce and they will have to split your financial gains with you, because this is a marriage at the end of the day. It is a contract which is social. Secondly, she mentions that this is going to be a hub of immigration dodging schemes for attaining citizenship. This is what we are saying. People are not just being gay or lesbian or queer, but this can also be a loophole for people attaining citizenship illegally at the end of the day. This is something which has been raised by Tanya Razwa in a speech. And then she goes on and asks a fundamental question. You are just being considerate of the lesbians and gays. What about the people who are questioning within this debate? These are the people who will later on realize who they really are, and they are going to divorce simply because they feel that they have been scammed at the end of the day. They will end up engaging in divorce. And this is why we are saying that this is the divorce which we don't need. So this is why we win this debate. And I thank you.
I think for the finals, we can just give ourselves a round of applause. So it is the SAYWHAT debate, and it is the final round, whereby we're going to see one institution which is going to be the winner. But actually, yeah, wish you all the best, guys. So right now we're about to take a short break, whereby we are going to be waiting for the judges, for them to actually make a deliberation on which institute is at the fourth place, third place, going forward. So, but you know what? Stay tuned right here, because we actually, we're just gonna get to know people, how they're feeling about the finals, how it is, all about the experience. So stay tuned. It is SAYWHAT debate. It is the final debate challenge.
Yeehaw! Yeehaw!
Welcome back. It is hashtag SAYWHAT debate, and it is the final round. Oh my God, it has been quite a long journey. We had 12 institutions at first, and now we are down to the 4 institutions. Guys, how are you feeling? You okay or your heart are acing, eh? All right, we'll start with Africa University. First question. Did you think that you were going to make it to the final round?
No.
You
I
did.
personally was low-key hoping. I think Robert was angry at me for at one point. I was low-key hoping not to break. Because I was thinking, hey, guys, I can't do it.
You can't,
Apparently, we made it this far, and I'm happy just for getting here.
Mr. Robert, how was the experience? How was the experience of actually being in the final round?
It was nice, honestly speaking. I feel like I'm somewhat sharper than I was when I came in. Like, you know that item whereby people say iron sharpens iron? Yeah, I felt like this is what happened in here. And then it's nice, it's refreshing actually.
Midlands State University, is this what you were hoping for? Or you were also pessimistic?
Everyone hopes for good things. For us to say we weren't hoping for this would be a total lie. But what we can say is we're grateful for the experience, no matter what. So we always are hopeful. Even in tough situations, we just keep it up.
That's good. That's good. Women's University in Africa. How is the experience for this one? I like how Dalito is always saying speak. Speak. How was the experience?
Okay, first and foremost, I would like to appreciate the efforts of SAYWHAT and their efforts to try and shape me to be a well-rounded individual. And this has enabled me to at least stretch my mind. Yeah.
Interesting, interesting. So we've never had a Polytechnic when always there's a national debate challenge for the SASI. And this year we have a Gweru Polytechnic. Guys, that's like a huge achievement. Tell me about that. How are you feeling? I know you're tired, but you're wasted. But yeah, how was it just, getting to hear yourself, getting to hear that you are in the finals?
Well, honestly, I was very tired and I wanted to go to sleep actually. So when I actually heard that we were supposed to come to the final round, I was like, what? Yeah, but anyways, as a Polytechnic, it's actually a great experience to say, and I'm sure that other Polytechnics are going to be encouraged despite what the outcome is going to be, but they are actually going to be encouraged to also want to participate and be part of this amazing event. Yeah, it's awesome actually.
All right, Sir Panache, any words, when it comes to, we have never had a Polytechnic college, you're right here, you are here. So just, tell us.
It's an exhilarating experience. First time meeting universities in the final, which is physical. It's been quite an experience. Most of them have debated them maybe on other platforms, WhatsApp, SIMCode and stuff. But I was happy that I'm meeting some of those people in a final where the odds were, pretty against us.
All right.
Just to say, because it's something new to us, especially with the adjustments in time for speech delivery and stuff. We had to maneuver through, but overall we are happy that a Polytechnic is in the final.
That's good. As SAYWHAT, we try to educate the young people about sexual reproductive health. Africa University, do you think young people listening, are they condomizing or they just having ignorance? Especially, I just want to hear from the perspective of what you see at your institute, your peers. They're condomizing. She's like, no. Yeah, how is it? Are young people...
Well, this is going to sound crude, but people hate condoms. Honestly speaking, I think there is a need to make more effort to change that attitude. Because I've met a lot of people that are confident and they'll tell you straight up to the face that I don't condomize. And then they're proud of it. So I think it's important to find a way to change that attitude so that people can then know what to prioritize.
Why do they not want to condomize?
They say it removes the sensation.
Oh, it's about the sensation feeling. All right. Midlands State University, what's your thoughts on that? Are young people condomizing, or there's just ignorance about when it comes to our sexual reproductive health?
I think if you look at Midlands State University, a lot of people have whatever perspective they have of us.
Yes.
But SAYWHAT Resource Center, I think they can testify that most of the people with more and more workshops, with more and more, conscientization, they are actually always going back for more condoms all the time. They are happy that they are being distributed. From a personal belief, I think it's better than previous years. But for me to advocate for everyone, to say everyone is doing it. There's obviously risk takers,
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that it's better. People are now aware to say, okay, this is what's happening. And it's through interventions of SAYWHAT being involved and people actually learning and wanting it. To say, yeah, what he's saying, it is true. But I think to an extent, some people are also scared.
Some people are also scared. All right, Gweru Polytechnic. When it comes to ladies, do you think they're getting the...
Is that a question that's going around, or that's a new question?
It's a new question, but it's much more about condoms and stuff. But it's not like... It's about the ladies. Are they willing to be able to be the bigger person whereby they can say, I have the condom?
Okay. You just don't have tape, so be quick with it.
All right. So, Gweru Polytechnic, I just wanted to ask, do you think the ladies are actually now being independent when it comes to condoms, being, actually having them? Because it's mostly like the guys. What if the guy doesn't have them? Are the ladies... He just had to say no. Speak.
Yeah, they are.
Have you seen them?
Yes, I have seen them actually. The last time SAYWHAT was at our school for the provincial debate competitions. We were actually part of the service table, and I'm pretty much confident that most of the people who came were ladies, so yeah, they are.
That's interesting. So right now we're about to announce the results. It is the final round of the Sassy Debate Challenge. And I'm sure that you have your predictions, and we're going to see if you're good at predicting. But anyways, stay tuned, because we're about to announce the results and see who is this year's champion.
If Mandela had a dream, EMP has a dream. You better get up and work on your dream. Work on that dream. Work on that dream. Work on that dream.
I got a dream. When you know you have a dream.
Work.
I got a dream.